little bit about myself. I'm a big dreamer. I have always been someone who's been curious-minded, and I do believe in listening to your body and actually cultivating that. And I've always been someone who's been interested in the root cause. There is a lot of options out there, but they don't really highlight what's actually going on underneath. I'm an occupational therapist and have been on this journey over 10 years, but I've always been somebody who's felt like there is something more. And so functional medicine was something that got me ticking, and I was really inclined to understand how we tick from a lifestyle point, but also understanding the mind-body connection. And so I've really noticed when we actually address what's really going on, and when the person's ready to address that, we see magic. And so why is our lifestyle important? We talk about healthy living and a healthy diet and creating a life that we desire. But why is it really important? It helps reduce stress, helps to improve our energy levels. We are able to cultivate this inner sense of peace. And what this does then is not only improves our quality of life, but it also improves our relationship with ourselves, but also our relationship with others. And so when we're looking at lifestyle, we're really diving deep into what exactly is our current patterning and what's serving us right now and what might not be serving us anymore. And so when we're trying to gain clarity, we're always wanting to understand what's going on with us right now. And so I'm a big believer in the fact that we have the power within us to make the changes that we desire. It doesn't mean that they're all going to be easy changes, and a lot of the times, growth happens in discomfort. So a lot of times we will be putting ourselves in really uncomfortable situations, or we might be feeling a lot of resistance, and there might be times where we might think that, oh, it's not really the right path for us because there is this inbuilt resistance in us. But the more that we can understand and unpack that and sit with that resistance, we're more likely able to get a bit more clarity. When we're looking at an optimal life, or living in accordance to our values, we're really looking at how these three factors interact with each other. So the three factors being, who are we as people? What is our intrinsic motivation? What drives us? What are our behavioral patterns? And the environment isn't just the physical built environment that we're part of, but it's also our social environment, our cultural environment. And then we're looking at what we do. What are we currently doing? Whether that's our day-to-day activities, whether it's volunteering, whether it's working, whether it's some of our leisure occupations or hobbies, understanding and gaining a bit more awareness around that and what we might need to change so that we can have an improved quality of life. And that's where clarity comes in. The more we can unpack what is meaningful for us, which environment do we need to put ourselves in so that we can receive and also express the most authentic part of ourselves, doing things that we love, and also understanding that some of the things that we might have to do, we might not necessarily like doing them, but they're still valuable. They're still impacting on our life. The way we approach doing it and the mindset that is quite significant. So when we're looking at our lifestyle, there are a few different areas that are really important to consider and realize that makes us who we are. We're looking at our physical health, we're looking at our mental and emotional health, we're looking at our spiritual health, our relationships, community, our financial health. But the more we can start underpinning where exactly are we in each of these categories and how satisfied are we in those categories, we can then start to realize what is valuable for us and are we actually aligned. You might be feeling like there is such deep forest and the light just feels really far to reach. But through, it doesn't have to be that way. Where the more that you can unpack and sit in the discomfort and understand what's going on for you, the more likely you're going to get closer to achieving what you want. And so I'd love to introduce my 5-part framework that I've used with multiple people, and I've seen it actually working. It's been so heart feeling really to see the change just by unpacking it in these different ways, becoming more aware. So why is being clear important? Because if we're understanding or aware of what's going on, we can't really make any changes. And it's also to say, when we're seeking clarity, it doesn't mean that everything comes in at once. You might go 2 steps forward, 5 steps back, but it's all part of the process. It's actually, understanding that the more awareness that you allow yourself and the more curious you can be with yourself, but also understanding serving you all this time and what hasn't been serving you. What are some of subconscious patternings? What are some of your habits that you naturally fall into? And we're wanting to do this a compassionate point. So we're not being hard on us. It's really important to be open-minded and aware of what's going on through a self-compassionate point of view. We're not wanting to be hard on ourselves or blame ourselves or go into this vicious cycle of shame, guilt, and just go into a downward spiral. But it's more about, creating that awareness and curiosity through a gentle sphere. What's been going on for me? Am I happy? Am I satisfied? Why am I not satisfied? What do I want life to be like? What can I do? Because it all comes back to being responsible. We can easily blame the whole world because it's easier. Putting something out there on an external factor is a lot easier than to look inside and sit in that uncertainty and be okay with, wanting to create a little bit of a change, wanting to understand it might not be smooth, but you're moving. It's important to realize that the only constant in life is change. And the more you can embrace that and understand that whatever's happened has happened for a reason and not fall victim to it, and start unpacking how is it happening for you, the more we can start looking at things from a different perspective and connecting. It is pretty chaotic, but how else can I look at this? It's definitely triggering parts of me. How can I bring some more grounding and safety within me in that scenario? And so the 4th framework being connecting within. And if we don't with our true self, we're pretty much running the show for everybody else. We kind of just go through life and we go through the motions and do the things that we're either expected to do or think that we need to do to be a certain person, to feel a certain way. However, in the end, it all comes back. The dissatisfaction is felt, whereas the more that we can live in alignment according to what we truly value, there's a lot more freedom to that. It might seem the other way around, but if you can really show up as your authentic, and I'm not saying it's easy, but it's doable, you find yourself to be freer, you find yourself to be lighter, you find yourself to have this space and energy in your life, and you start creating things that you wouldn't have even thought of. Of course, the last one being action. Without taking the small steps, we're not really going anywhere. And that small step could just be, okay, I'm finding it really hard to get out of bed today, but I got out of bed and went for a little walk and then went back into bed, and that's okay. Being compassionate with yourself, but you're actually creating something by taking that small step instead of just waking up feeling like you don't want to get out of bed and staying in bed the whole day. And so, I'd love to help you find more of that clarity and more of that focus. It's all about increasing your self-awareness, regaining that motivation or energy and passion, the drive always had, rediscovering what your sense of purpose is, and overcoming your resistance to change. Change can be a difficult process depending on the stage of change that you're in. And we're not trying to force anything. We're just getting more curious and understanding what exactly is that resistance. How is it serving me? Whatever resistance there is, there's always something that it's serving. And the more that we can unpack and address that, we are likely to gain that clarity that we need to make the change. And we're more likely to make the change long term and be consistent with it. This journey will show you ways that you can improve your energy levels, enhance your quality of life, and really reshape without overwhelming you. You might have patterns that you're so used to doing. This will really help you break through some of that.